Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to an early morning setup. Um, so this was yesterday's trading. As you can see, we won, and luckily we actually put the final take profit where it was a pretty good take profit. We actually managed to hit it just before it moved up. This was a terrible trade, but going off of the other day's video, I learned a new rule that I could apply. That rule being on a fair value gap where a level is formed where I think price is going to reject but doesn't, and instead we're presented with another fair value gap, enter on the closure of that fair value gap to ensure the best possible trade. Don't expect much. Bring down the final take profit to just below the target low or high, depending on where that fair value gap forms and in what manner the volume's sitting. We're going to take that knowledge and then pair it with MACD as well as the volume profile to ensure that no matter what, we're getting the best trade possible. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and set up. We'll knock this day of trade completely out of the park. We'll be good to go. Okay. So we've set up pretty much what we needed to. On the hour, just gonna go ahead and start off on the high time frame. Marked out first point of control, second point of control in relation to their volume overall. Um, from that point, we note that one, we're in a downtrend, with the exception of this recent break of structure, and even the MACD is agreeing with this, that yes, we're in an uptrend. Again, though, this is the high time frame, and as you can see on this right here, we have a defined uptrend going on. The SMA has crossed over the EMA, and we've been in pullback from this move down. So it has since created a high and a low, but honestly, there hasn't been much retaste. Yeah, there hasn't been much retasting here, right? Because every time it's made a high, it's gone up above it, and we're seeing that even here now. We had a fair value gap put up just then, and it has since been filled. That's why we went to the 5 minute, because there was no current imbalance for us to really take note of. And so I had the idea of going ahead and on the 5 minute, marking the most recent imbalance, so this fair value gap. And then from there forward, the lowest low and the highest high it's made, and these will be our test zones. Either A, it comes up here, fails, and it'll continue lower, or B, it'll go down, and it'll be similar to that of what happened yesterday, where price makes a level, it goes into drawback or not, and what will happen is we'll be presented with another fair value gap, which will ultimately cross this line. And once that's the case, it'll continue on lower because it will not have tested this level, and it'll just continue to plummet. Currently, where do I think price is going to go based on where it's been so far on the hour specifically? If we up here, it looks like we've been in an uptrend for the past little bit now per this. But in actuality, we've only just recently gone into an uptrend, and it looks like we're about to be brought back into a downtrend. So that's also a thing. So this right here is a high area of volume. As you can see, the spike here, very, very indecisive mode for price to be in. All the volumes right here, so I mean, it makes the most sense. We have a consolidation happening between between these 2 points here, as well as the point of control in the center. And it's really a matter of the high time frames display and portrayal of imbalance and price's willingness to retest said areas or failing to and reverting to current trend, which at this moment, if it decides to break structure right now on the high time frame, will be a downtrend instead of an uptrend. Chicken is good. But yeah, that's not an imbalance right there, so not quite breaking structure yet. On the high time frame, it looks like it's going to break structure, but looking at this, I'm going to say it's not. Looks like it's going to try and retest that price level right there, and it might just continue lower based on that. Based on this candle closure, I'll put one of these down, right? And I'm going to go ahead and guess it's going to be a short. I'm going to put where this candle closed in this line here. I'll put my stop loss above these highs, and then I'll put my final take profit for funsies down here, just below this low. I want to see what price does in relation to where it is now. It has come up It has tested this. We were in pullback off of this move down. But as you can see, even on the MACD, it's pretty much saying, hey, yeah, that move's about to end because we've gone up and up and up. But we have still plenty of space to move down before it crosses over the EMA. So just a matter of waiting. Hmm. So we have 2 red folders today. Kind of high impact news. Previous was 49. Sorry, previous forecast was 49. It went up to 41. This says if actual is greater than forecast, good for currency. This was lesser than the forecast, but the forecast is 46 above 41. So I have a feeling this folder is going to be in the red just because it's been mostly in the red all this time. And there was a massive jump from before. So I think it'll be in the red this time. ISM services PMI folder, actual good forecast good for currency. So if it's green, price goes down. 90% of this is green, so I do believe it's going to go down. And by that margin, I think it's going to be relative decent drop. We don't have to worry much about the 10 a.m. compared to the 8:15. Then again, we'll take both folders into account before we really take a trade because we'll need to wait for both to really get that good trade going. Alright, catch up in my beard. Did not forget. Stop loss right above these eyes here. I'll take profit down here. For funsies, remember right here. This is where we're going to put it. Boom. That is a 1 to 5 risk to reward. Do I think it's going to go down that far? There's a potential. Based on my strategy, yes, I think it'll go down that far. Um, yeah, yeah, I think it'll move down that far. Volume's up right now. We're in pullback. There is no imbalance. We broke structure here, but that was to create this high, which makes sense. End result, price comes up, retests, and then drops. We should be expecting an imbalance between these two. I think this is an okay setup for right now. I'm not in a trade. I'm just observing what this will do based on my strategy, the way I've got it set up now. That being the case, I'm going to pause the video because I don't want it to be 2.5 hours like it was last time. If you're liking the video so far, consider giving a like. And yeah, I'll be right back. Let's see what happens with this trade. I'll unpause when it's done and through. We have definitive, okay, it's gone down. Now the MACD is saying, nope, we're done here. We're moving up for retrace on the higher time frame. Hold on, yards. I will wait until we're good. BRB. So it looks like we were right in the direction from here down. It came down, created a low, and as we can see, based on this, it retested the same level. Right here is where we would have exited this trade had we have taken it. So my stop loss would have been not 1 to 5 ish, but 1 to 3.2 ish. Still a good trade on that note. We just would have needed to pay attention. Where was this targeting? It looks like it was just this setup of lows right here. And it's pretty dang close to yeah. That's a retest of a level for it to continue higher. So it came down to touch this a little bit, sweep beyond these lows, and then continue up higher. That's what this move is here. We're still nowhere near market open. I just wanted to see what would happen if we attempted to take a trade here. And sure enough, if we had, we would have seen this right here, and this would have been our cue to get out because it created a low, retested it, and then proceeded to fail and then continue up higher. Yeah. Not interested in this trade though. Just like I'm not interested in, because this was the low from before. This was the high from before. This is the most recent imbalance. Don't care about that. This was the level I just tested. So this is done. We're still stuck with a point of control right here. Oops. We have a new imbalance here, but at the cross of this, it's an early imbalance, so I imagine it'll actually continue much higher instead of pulling back. On this same note, we could mark this imbalance here if we wanted to. And let's see if this other rule we've got that I came up with last video makes sense to pull off here. Let's say, for instance, this right here doesn't exist, so it didn't retest this. Instead, it did what it did with less at the same time. So it went beyond this level. It didn't just retest it, it crossed it completely, but it closed above it, failing it entirely. So price continues higher. Same story happens if this doesn't even exist. Instead of it coming down, creating one, and going back up and then creating two, it instead just creates one, moves up, presents the fair value gap, and then continues to rise. This is the logic I use for this specific use case. Saying that if we miss the retest and it just presents us a fair value gap or another imbalance, we'll need to wait for another imbalance before we can enter. It's got to close on that next candle. We enter on that candle. And then we ride the rest of the move. Now, we got lucky yesterday when I hopped in when I did, and it continued lower. And we didn't know how low it would go, and we were kind of putting our exit on the MACD and the smooth moving average over the EMA. The problem with that is if it decides to cross the SMA and the EMA, if it decides to cross over while giving us a false signal here, and for whatever reason, this motion price decides to move far above the stop loss when the EMA SMA isn't there, right? We just got stopped out on a false signal, and that's not good. So my thought process is, for the use case of when this doesn't exist, we take this and we would like a 1 to 4 risk to reward. I'm thinking about bringing that back down to 2. Thinking about it. And we'll base it around volume as well as the most recent highs. Yeah, crick in my neck is giving me a headache just a little bit. So if we were to take a trade right here, and this were to fail and give us another fair value gap within this area here, we'd enter and then put our final take profit just above these highs. If not, like, we'll zoom out and we'll find the next available high aside from this. So it would be up here. We put our final take profit here, and then our stop loss just below this low, or like we did the other day, right at this imbalance. So if there is pullback, it's not much and we'll be stopped out, which is completely fine. We're just looking for that continuance of the move, which will have been proven to us by this fair value gap. We got pullback now, but we are above the EMA, so false signal already. Realistically speaking, this is a great move for this chart because we can take the low formed from this off the next high, mark that level, and if it doesn't retest, that's a perfect scenario of, okay, we see an imbalance, we see a low, this is one thing that hasn't been retested, look for a second imbalance, enter off of that, and then watch it continue up from there. Something to note on the 5-minute, we are in an uptrend now off of this break structure right here. Fair value gap is plenty sign for continuance. It's just the low that we're waiting on. Let's see what the hour says. Hour says we're also in a downtrend. We broke structure just freshly right here, and we are in pullback. Did we break structure? We didn't break structure within any of this, so it's a fresh break. The newest imbalance is right here. And if this closes in the uptrend, then this low will be the level that it needs to come back down to retest, and then from that retest, it'll continue up higher, I think. But if it decides to close in this, we know price will continue further down, and from that we'll have to work around price taking. You ever get those uncontrollable stretches? Like, you can just twist and contort all day and you feel so much better after. Whew. I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video though, because we're in, of course, pullback, and we're nowhere near the open of our trade window yet, so we're gonna wait patiently. Something to note, I guess, on the high time frame. This is pullback, but we have 2 footnotes of moving down here, which, I mean, that makes sense. We are in a downtrend, so that the fresh break there kind of feeds into market moving further down from where it is, and you can see the same thing happening over here in relation to the 9:30 opening right here. We have 2 surefire moves here that say, oh yeah, we're going to keep moving down. Doesn't leave as much as a footnote, but it is the same volume that enters the market, and then from there just a little bit more. We can see market still in the moving downtrend. So Um, yeah, this was a down candle, which is gold for us. We could do this here. Down, up, creates a low. This low will need to be retested. In order to confirm that that is the case, we're just going to zoom in and we're going to leave it right here. We're not going to move it from where it is. When I unpause, this right here will have been decided, and whether or not it continues down or moves back into retrace and then tests this imbalance here will be entirely based on its own movement. So, yeah. Where do I think it's going to go? It would make sense for it to bounce off this and then continue higher, like I was saying before, present us with the imbalance and then sweep beyond maybe this high or this high here. And then from there, because of the most recent imbalance that will have been created here, we can wait for it to retest and then drop again, or hit the one and then imbalance, enter, move down further. One of the two. Yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna pause. BRB. Alrighty, so we've closed in on the market open. As you can see, price has pretty much been in a steady downward trend. I've been closely tracking the fair value gaps to hone in on the strategy on the setup. It's gone as far down as the first point of control on the high time frame. This is currently the volume profile. Just a overview of what's exactly happening here. Our primary point of control is right here. Point control 2 is down below. We have a mini little spurt up here. What direction do I think it's going to go in? Honestly, right now it's a little bit difficult to tell. Right now it's not going super in a direction. It's more so consolidating than anything. I mean, this is pretty indicative of a singular balance area, a whole lot of volume stacked up in one spot, and it's not really venturing outside as much. So I'm kind of focusing on smaller plays, looking a little bit more on the bigger picture, though. We do have now a new. I'm going to keep that right where it is because I'm not entirely sure if that'll move. We have a new imbalance here, right? We have not broke structure out of this uptrend. I'm considering this an uptrend because this closed just above this high. So we are currently in the move up, and this could easily just be a retrace. And so what I'm thinking is going to happen is we're going to see something like this here, where we have an imbalance moving down, and we need to be looking for these lows to get tested one more time and then to be ripped off from the high. I said I wanted to keep this, but this has clearly failed because we were presented with another imbalance here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to treat this imbalance as current. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for this price level to get hit. Either this price level gets tested and rejected and price continues up, we see a break of structure and it continues higher, or it doesn't. And based on that, one of two things happens. Either A, it disrespects this fair value gap, hits this, and continues higher, in which case we'll see another imbalance just on the flip side. That is one scenario where the volume might actually top off the MACD, because as you can see, we've been in a very large downward downtrend for literally all of this. So, and we've been in retrace for a little bit over here as well. What do I think is most likely going to happen? If based on the high time frame, right? We've got an imbalance, we got a price gap, and right now all the volume on the high time frame says that the point of control 2 might be where price is headed, solely for the reason that the only other large amount of volume is down here. There's nothing really up here for it to come back to and retest outside of this high up here. And this is a long shot away from where it is now compared to down here, though at the same time, looking at this chart, I mean, again, most of the volume has pretty much consolidated here, so it might be working its way down based on this consolidation. Though I'm thinking auction market theory, off of one trend, off of a large move, the acceptance into a balance area is the move up, its creation of a high and then a low, and then it's sticking within that area and then slowly expanding over time until it leaves that area through breakout. Breakout is indicative of a whole new auction on that note. So my thought process is we need an imbalance. We have to have an imbalance to really be precise in what exactly is going to happen, because without an imbalance, we can't say, oh, it's going up or down. More so, it's just consolidating. It's accepted into a balance area, and from there, we can only make small plays, nothing major. So we're sticking within that balance area on entry until exit, unless there is a breakout, and in that breakout, we'll see it on the high time frame engulf either a high or a low and go beyond this range here. Right now, there are really only two modes I'm looking at for price to really break out and then sweep different levels, and I'm looking at an imbalance up here, which is fairly understandable. We have a compound of volume and imbalance here that price can visit if it wants to, and the same thing can be said down here. Volume is more so apparent down here on the 5 minute compared to up high, and I'm going from previous session to current session. So it has all the material needed to continue lower, not as much to continue higher. There's more distance to cover if it needs to continue higher, though that might be what the consolidation is for. Based on the previous move down, we could see it rip up, create itself more material, build up that volume, and then retrace back down. But before we can make a decision on that, we have to make sure that that is the direction it wants to go based on the volume, which we have just did, and of course the strat we're using. 5 minute, again, the SMA EMA has been pretty much separate for a hot minute in a downtrend. That's currently what we're looking at here. Everything's been just slowly spiraling down. And I've been watching the imbalances for retests, and based on these retests, I'm looking for a failure and then a drop, and then on the close of that drop, an entrance where I can hop in, put my stops above that area of test, and then ride the rest down. Looking at these price gaps, though, even on the high time frame, you can see there we have a price gap there, and we have a price gap here showing indecision in the market. Volume's been pretty high all the way through London session. As you can see here, it's just a flat hype up, and then it just continues. And I don't think we're going to be seeing much change in volume. That's a lot of volume, not going to lie. But then again, could be the case. We could see a ton of volume. I don't know. We got 4 minutes, 2 seconds for this to close. This will be the determining factor if it wants to continue. Yay. If not, I mean, it'll be a valid break of structure. The imbalance will be invalidated because it'll have been filled at that point. The next imbalance for it to hit is up here, this right here. And then that would be pretty much what the market wants to do at that point. Second modicum of application for us to enter would be to pair the price level it's currently at with the MACD's SMA EMA, so we can see that cross happen in real time, and then from there get the crossover up when it comes to that entry point. Yeah, I'm just waiting for this candle to close, and that'll be the decision making on my part. I'm not on the hour. I'm marked an imbalance. Not here. This was an imbalance. This could have been an imbalance. I think I marked this one actually a little while ago, and then put the high and low here. And I essentially told myself, if it hits this high, because we're on a downward, this is a downtrend imbalance. If we hit this high and it fails again, it will drop significantly, but it's got to hit this high first before it can drop. that's on a high time frame play. Right now, we're in retrace off of a high made after the imbalance. So what I'm thinking is this is the gear up to it. I imagine on open, we're going to see a huge spike up and a potential retest of that high. And then about midway through this, we should see this folder right here hit at 10. Let's go ahead and refresh that, make sure it's current. Yeah, we should see this appear at 10. If it's greater than forecast, it's good for currency. So if this number is greater than the forecast, we should see price move back down. So around 10-ish, we should see a serious leap from the move up where it's retested, failed, and then when news drops, if it's greater, it'll fuel the fire to move price downward. How much? Hard to say. I'm looking for a retest somewhere before I enter them. I think about it, but there could be a test right here too, because according to this, right, we have same thing, downward imbalance, downward break of structure, move down, cool. It's made a high here, up, down, boom. We could be looking at this high right here getting tested, and if it's rejected, that is a level I'm more than satisfied with to see price continue lower. However, looking at the MACD, we could be seeing again the retrace, move up, crossover, high, 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 and then it tests, stop, and then news hit, and then drop. "22 seconds for that to go off. See what happens. If you're interested in watching any of my other content, consider dropping a subscribe. If you're new, want to come back. There is plenty of stuff to be seen down in the description. Plenty of links for channels, for my channels. You can go and check out my gaming content or any of the outdoor content I do. Been a minute since I posted to the native channel, but hey, it works. Here we are with market open. Huge dip down. Did we fail that? No, we didn't. It closed above. This candle opened right at. I've never seen that before. Where a candle opens up and it's still red when it goes above where it's opened. I guess that's on account of spread. It's gone up just enough to go above open, but spread says, nope, you're still red. Yeah, volume's been pretty high for the past little while, so I imagine it's going to be a little wonky on open. Hello, sweep of the lows. This right here does not matter. This low does not matter. I thought this high based on that imbalance would matter, but it doesn't. I'm going to go ahead and guess that this imbalance was what was tested, this level right here. Price came up, checked it, and then on open of the very next candle based on volume, because there's so much material down here for it to work for, like I was saying earlier, we're seeing that move down. Rinse repeat on this note here. If we see this level tested again and it is failed, we could see we could be seeing it move up higher to find new value. Though at the same time, I'm looking at this right here based on this imbalance. We had one level here, test, fail, move up. On the high time frame, it's spelt out a little bit different because it's just one imbalance and one low versus this now new move down that we're looking at. And just so we're on the same page, because this is no longer an imbalance, it's no longer necessary to see. This one is still a valid one though, this imbalance right here. We'll leave that right where it is. I think I'm going to stick with that. on the high time frame play based on the 5 minute. If we're presented with two imbalances down on that the third candle close after that second imbalance presents itself, I'll go ahead and enter into a short and then put my stop loss just above where it failed. And then I'll target point control 2 because that is literally all that's underneath this. There's like 1, 2 lows and then an imbalance and then a huge drop down to the next imbalance. I might just target that, to be honest. I might just do that. Then again, though, that's only if we see those two imbalances before it has a chance to retrace, skip above this, and continue higher. The flip side of that is also true. Imbalance 1, retest, drop, enter, done. I'm just waiting for that setup to come through. Just wait. I know why I'm yawning now. It's because it's raining and foggy. Super overcast. Can't see nothing outside. You could probably hold your hand up to your face and you wouldn't be able to see it. It is super, super foggy out there. I got dark. Huge move down. Failed just on that. Why do I think news is going to be the fake out here? News is going to drop and it's going to reverse roll, kind of like what the other one did. Because I had assumed earlier that this was going to be greater than forecast based on this red, I think. No? I'm slowly thinking otherwise. It says greater than forecast good for currency, so if it was green, it'd be going down. What I think I said was that this was going to be red just like it is. It's going to go up a little bit, which it did. It did go up just a bit. And that this one here is going to wind up green based on all of this green. And from that, we'll see price take a hit. Yeah, there it goes. There's the reaction to open. No news as of yet. That folder drops at 10:15, I think. 10:15? No, just 10. Hello, testing of... It's not that high. Oh no, that's the point of control. Retest and engulf. Let's see how high it goes. Because it's now, if it closes above this, that will have inverted 2 imbalances. Sorry, it will have inverted 1, really. Just 1 imbalance. Let's see what the hour is doing real quick. Yeah, hour is full on. It's created a higher low still. So the lows are having a huge spread. Huge, huge, huge spread on opens. But that's okay. When it calms down a little bit, we'll see it take on the true trend. I could go to the 5 minute, but I don't think that's the smartest idea. Yeah, huge amount of volume spike here based on the rest of this volume. Like, that's a huge amount on open. But I do think the reaction to open is going to be a little bit lesser. based on where it is now. We got 2.5 minutes for it to get through with this candle. Major spread. Major spread on the lows and that high right there. Very indecisive, apparently. It swept lows to go higher, that volume did. It did go higher, but it hasn't said that it's going to continue higher. I'd like to one day get a hold of some of my favorite bands, like their authors or agents or whatever. Maybe get some music going because these silent videos drive me nuts. Even I hate having to work in silence. It's complete just meh, you know. I'd like to be able to listen to my music, a music that was made by somebody else, without having to worry about copyright crap. I get why it's there though. I get it. Based on the MACD, it says it wants to go higher, and I'm inclined to enter based on the MACD and the crossing of the price above the EMA on the chart. I'm sorry, the SMA on the chart, because that's more in line with the SMA now. 7 seconds. We'll wait. I will wait patiently. There it goes. Moving beyond. Imbalance, low, retest, fail. This would be an opportune moment to enter on for a long, going up high based on that. It swept all the way through this. What do you think, comment section? Should I attempt a long here? Way early to tell. Way, way, way early. We've been in retrace for a minute now, from here all the way up. And just recently, this has been a huge spread, so I think it's still got room to move on down, but we're going to wait. Again, we are seriously consolidating right now, so I'm inclined to think that it's just going to continue right and zigzag left, right, and center, and we don't want to just enter on a premature gist. Technically, my setup has come and gone. I could enter now because it's at a premium, or sorry, a discount in this case. But I want to see it give me another imbalance for a secondary point of confirmation that yes, we are in fact going into an uptrend now. There's plenty of fuel for it to ramp up all this too, so I think it's safe to do that based on trendline highs and where it's gone to sweep past in order to continue moving up, and there's plenty of material for it to climb up. Even the volume here agrees with the trend lines. Yeah. Based on the hour, it's the same story. Higher low, higher high. So yeah, I think I am justified in buying now. I'll go ahead and edit the position. My stop loss is going to be down here. Boom. My final take profit. That is an easy, it might be there. Let me see what this long looks like. From here to roughly here, that is a 1.23. If it full on rips, $2.49, that'd be another safe bet. I'm looking at this huge amount of liquidity right here, though. How about that? We'll stop there. Because there are plenty of spaces, equal highs, imbalance, huge amount of liquidity there, huge amount of liquidity here, and it could just continue ripping up past these highs here. We might be attempting, yeah, and there are equal highs right across that. So there's plenty of room for it to just continue up based on that. All right. We've entered in on a trade based around volume, and we're using our lows and tested areas beyond imbalances to really justify it moving higher. Yes, this is an imbalance. It's quite small in the 5-minute. The 1 hour, though, I imagine, yeah, 1 hour is pretty much doing the same thing. We had a low here. Price came down, swept the majority of these lows out. The only one missed is this. And a lot of the volume is indicating that price is easily able to ramp up and continue up. We might not be able to hit point of control 2 on the high time frame, though I do imagine it will come up and hit this level of liquidity up here. That is what I'm thinking price will do today, and if it doesn't, it was a shot in the dark. I did what I could with my setup. It appeared I entered late on purpose because I wanted to see a continuance from opening. I got the reaction from opening. Price did want to continue up. It's moving down and retrace. We'll see what happens here in a little bit. I'm going to leave it right here. In fact, I'm going to actually do this. Let me go to the high time frame because it's based on that we're making this play. I'm going to do this here. Boom. And I'm going to put this right here so you guys can see it. Same as me. That is a 1 to 3.24 risk to reward ratio. I'm going to pause this video now because I don't want it to be 4.5 hours long. If you like this video, if you like the content, consider liking, subscribing, comment below what your favorite part of the video was. I understand this is a very, very kind of boring video unless you're into this kind of thing. I'm working on other forms of content. I'm slowly trying to get good at this so that the other content can come along quite smoothly. That being the case, I'll be right back. I'll unpause when the rest of it comes along. BRB. Okay, so clearly we lost this trade. Let's take a look at what happened. On the hour, very hard to tell. We entered within this right here. Everything about the failure of this said it was going to continue higher. I'm going to go ahead and guess, yeah, because this candle just opened. This candle's opening essentially said, okay, the closure said we did not fail this after this imbalance, so we're going to continue lower. So I got the trend wrong. Yeah. Swept low enough into this imbalance, respected it. We could see it continue higher based on this. But if we take a look at what happened here, really wish it would give us the arrow. You know, the part where we entered and then failed. Pretty sure we entered here on the assumption that, okay, this level failed, we're going to continue higher. It did continue higher, but it wasn't high enough to continue onward, right? It swept this volume out fairly quickly. We thought, based on this volume here, that it would ramp up off of it and just continue higher, but that was clearly wrong. The initial trend took over regardless. We had a short-lived uptrend, and as you can see, volume took over and it just continued to plummet further. The entrance was exact, like we were good, but from here to here, there just wasn't much to gain off of it. That was a bad play on my part, even though the setup was good and everything had said pretty much up until the point. Go ahead and enter here, wait it out, see what happens. That was a bad decision on my part. It is now 10:13. So beyond the time of this, let's see what this looks like. 53.8 versus 53.5. Actual was greater than forecast is good for currency. So I called it to begin with. Because this was greater than this, we saw price go down at 10-ish, right? In its wake, it left an imbalance and a price gap. So we could be seeing it continue on much further down. It did hit the point of control too, though, just to note. The initial bias was correct. The initial trade idea was correct. The execution, poorly on me. I entered really early thinking, okay, based on what we had before, it would work. Based on the MACD, the volume profile, sure, it would continue up. That was wrong. Yeah. I'm not going to take another trade today. I'm actually going to count my wins for right now. Monday's wins versus Tuesday's loss. Tuesday wasn't too bad. I'm not ashamed to lose this trade. How much did we lose? We lost 65 cents. So roughly that second bit that we earned the other day, which is completely fine. Man. So, yeah. Volume is still high. I don't want to trade again for now. I want to let it do its thing. Realistically speaking, I could have waited. I could have. I chose not to in the expectation that I was right. Which, for a little while, it was. Should have known it was going to continue on lower, though. That's on me. Yeah, not much else to be said. Alright, I'm going to close this video out now. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.